Today we're going to be looking at our must-start players for Week 2. We're going to go game by game, matchup by matchup, identify the safer plays, look at the matchup overall, and project out what these games could do for us from a fantasy football perspective. But before we dig in, if you need help with your lineups, drop your start-sit questions in the comment section below. I will get to them Saturday night, and I'll just answer all your questions. Make sure to hit that subscribe button right now because we're doing this every week. And during the waiver wire, we cover it multiple days. And we do in-depth videos with the You Need series covering the top waiver wire players so you can get more advanced analytics to help you make your decisions for lineups, waiver wire pickups. And we do these videos to help you set your lineups. Click that button. Stop missing out. Don't forget to ask your question while you're asking this, but we're going game by game, matchup per matchup. First game we're looking at here is the Raiders and the Ravens. I got Derrick Henry here, and the confidence factor too is not all the way there with Derrick Henry from what we saw last week, but we're looking at the matchup. This is clearly going to be different than versus the Chiefs. Look for the Ravens to be ahead here, ahead of the Raiders. Vegas is saying that with an 8 spread. Also, over-under saying this is going to be a low-scoring game. Look for the Ravens to be able to run the ball. Look for them to push it. They got 161 yards hung on the Raiders last week. Look for Derrick Henry to get his workload. Look for him to bounce back, but I'm not 100% confident, but I am very confident he will get work. Zay Flowers will get targets and opportunities. It's between Andrews and Likely at the tight end spot. Andrews don't score against the Chiefs. He just doesn't. He does not produce against Kansas City, and it was a weird matchup. Don't be surprised if there's games where it's Andrews and other games where it's Likely and you're scratching your head. Both of them, you're likely starting. Both of them. Run backs, that's for the Raiders. Devontae Adams, like always, he's running routes. He's getting targets. You're not really loving it, though. But you drafted high. You probably don't have many guys on the bench that can outperform him, so you're probably starting him. Brock Bowers is running a lot of routes, getting a lot of opportunity, getting targets. I look for that to continue. I look for him to be used in the slots. Looking at the Niners and Vikings, this should be a route. Niners should route the Vikings. Jordan Mason, going to get a lot of touches, going to get a lot of workload. That's going to continue. Debo, Kittle, Ayuk, all starts per fundamentals. But it's going to be a carousel between these players. One's going to really hit, one's going to be okay, and one may not be okay. But you don't know till game to game. But it's against the Vikings. This game script could break. I look for this to be a good Jordan Mason game. Run backs, you don't really have anything you're excited about for the Vikings. Aaron Jones at running back because he'll get some volume, but this isn't a great matchup for him. Justin Jefferson, as always, you just start him by default. 46.5 over under. Most of those points projected by Vegas by the Niners. Maybe some run back points or garbage time points by the Vikings. Cowboys, Saints, 47 over under. They're expecting this to be a high scoring game. They're expecting the spread to be rather high, so the Cowboys should be leading pretty good in this game. CeeDee Lamb should get his. He should be an easy start. Brandon Cooks getting about a 20% target share in this game, so if you're looking for a flex play, that's a guy to look at. Zeke versus Rico. Zeke will be out there due to pass protection. Wouldn't be surprised if Rico becomes a sleeper. Run backs for the Saints. That Cowboys defense is pretty locked down. Alvin Kamara getting workload in the passing game and the run game. Chris Olave, can we bounce back? Can we bounce back? I'm not saying he's a must start, but can we bounce back? Chargers, Panthers. The Panthers are in trouble. What we saw last week, they're in trouble. This could be the game Harbaugh unloads, and he'll probably unload the run game. Both Dobbins and Edwards. Looking at them, I look for the Chargers to be up in this matchup. 39 over under. The Chargers are going to be in these low-scoring games, these ugly games. The Panthers are just going to be ugly. The run backs here. You got Deontay Johnson for the Panthers. But if you want to look at the passing game for the Chargers, it's going to be a battle between Johnson and McConkey. Palmer's dealing with an injury. McConkey looked good, especially in his rookie debut. Has speed. Johnson's running a lot of routes, getting a lot of opportunity. But with his over-under at 39, I don't 100% trust it. If you're hurting, you're wheeling one out. But guess what? There's a lot of bad matchups here. We got Colts and Packers. The quarterback play for the Packers might slow things down a bit, and the Colts are going to run the ball. They'll probably gash up the Packers like Saquon did because you got Jonathan Taylor, you got AR-15 running the ball, and you got Packers getting gashed last week anyways. Michael Pittman, a 42% target share last week. He's going to be getting targets. Easy start. A.D. Mitchell got some good run last week. Some deep targets that just didn't hit. Maybe something like that happens as a surprise play. Malik Willis, how bad is he going to be? How bad is he going to be? That is how this game's going to play out. It's all on Malik Willis' shoulders because if he's throwing picks, fumbling the ball, Colts are going to be running the ball. If he can push it, then we're going to see the Colts throw it a little bit more. And on top of that, Josh Jacobs, because he's getting touches. I'm not confident, but he's going to get touches. They're going to run with him. Jaden Reed's going to get target share. It's the carousel of these wide receivers. But are you trusting it with Malik Willis? You might be throwing somebody out there in your lineups. Tampa Bay at Detroit. This is a game where you're starting everybody. You're starting everybody in this matchup. So some games, there's a must play. Some games, there's no plays. And there's some games, you're starting everybody. This is one of those. 51.5 over under here from Vegas. Spread's all right here. Looks like we're going to get some action here fantasy football-wise. Look for Mike Evans, Chris Godwin to get work in the pass game. Even though it was against the Rams last week, they allowed 266 yards to wide receivers, 61.3 fantasy points. There's going to be upside here. Of course, you want to look at McMillan too. Run backs, Amon-Ra, St. Brown's, Gibbs, Monty, the crew here. You're starting everybody. Jamison Williams, not listed there, but he's listed out this mouth. You're looking at him too. There's going to be a lot of volume in this offense. This is going to be a fun one to watch. You're starting everybody that you can in this matchup. This matchup will break tiebreakers. Jets, Titans, 41 over under. Going to be a slow-paced game. How bad can Will Levis be? Because you're going up against a stout defense here. Breece Hall, Garrett Wilson, of course, for the Jets. Everybody else is ancillary in their gambles on the Jets. Run backs, Calvin Ridley. He's going to get target share. It's just whether or not that's going to lead to fantasy points. Workload will eventually lead to fantasy points. It might be spotty. What I mean by spotty, it means there could be a lot of games where he doesn't do anything, and then all of a sudden he has a few pop-off weeks, and more games where he does nothing, but he's going to get workload. He's going to get opportunity in this matchup. Might lead to nothing, or if he catches something in the end zone or something, that could help him out. Tony Pollard was the breath of fresh air for this team. He was electric. He was explosive. This isn't a great matchup for him, though. We got Seahawks-Patriots, another ugly matchup. This is a week of ugly matchups. This is another one. Rhamondre Stevenson is safe because you know he's getting workload. That doesn't mean he's going to get fantasy points, but he's going to get the work, and you're going to feel good about that he's getting touches. Same with Kenneth Walker. DK Metcalf, Deep Ball City. Maybe if he brings in a couple, he could have a huge matchup. This is an ugly one, though. Browns-Jaguars, another ugly one. The Browns' defense is locked down. Even with the spread of the Cowboys game last week, they locked down that offense. That offense was locked down. That's how bad Deshaun Watson was. But they can lock down this team. I hate this matchup. Etienne for opportunity share and touches. But honestly, you're not feeling good. You got gambles at wide receiver here with Brian Thomas Jr., Kirk, and Gabe Davis. You're just throwing sheets to the win here. Run backs for the Browns. Jerome Ford for the touches. Workload and opportunity. Amari Cooper for the A. average depth of target because he was getting deep balls. And on top of that, he was getting a good amount of targets and running a lot of routes. Giants at Commanders. Another ugly one. Nabers' knee, we're seeing on that. Wan'Dale Robinson got 12 targets last week. Theo Johnson was running a lot of routes. Not a must start, but a guy to look at. Run backs. Both running backs, Brian Robinson and Austin Eckler, they're getting a lot of work. Austin Eckler's getting a lot of work in the passing game, and they may be throwing it if they get behind. McLaurin, you're watching him. You're not trusting him, but you're watching him. Rams and Cardinals, 48 over under. And this is a game that's going to break a lot of tiebreakers because it's going to be fast-paced, high-scoring. I expect Kyren Williams to get a lot of work. Over 55 total fantasy points in both games against the Cardinals last year. Over 300 rushing yards in both games against the Cardinals last year. The Cardinals allowed over 2,000 rushing yards last year. Last week, they clamped the run game down, though, on James Cook a little bit. But still, they didn't get gashed. But teams are going to try and gash them due to what they saw last year. They're going to do that with Kyren Williams. More than likely, Cooper Kupp, easy start. Had a 42% target share, which is unheard of for wide receivers last week. Demarcus Robinson versus Tyler Johnson. Demarcus Robinson will be on the field. He has been productive before. Tyler Johnson will be on the field, but he might be worked in with other wide receivers. Watch him, but he had 7 targets last week. Run backs, James Conner, because he's going to get workload and opportunity. Marvin Harrison Jr., will he be a ghost this week? Will he not? The tape didn't look good for Marvin Harrison last week. Greg Dortch got a ton of targets last week. Is that going to happen? But they might push it more to the outside here. So we might see a Michael Wilson game if you're trying to get something off the waiver wire that can be a little sneaky here. Bengals, Chiefs, 48 over under. Isaiah Pacheco is going to get that work. He's safe. Rashee Rice going to get that work. Not 100% safe due to him being a wide receiver, but I'm starting him. Xavier Worthy, a lot of upside here. I'm shooting for upside here. This matchup breaks tiebreakers. Travis Kelce, of course, because he's Travis Kelce. Run back, Zach Moss, getting touches, goal line work. It's going to happen. Will it score fantasy points? We'll see, but the workload is half the battle. Jamar Chase, because he's Jamar Chase. Steelers, Broncos, 36.5 over under. That is laughable. We got Bo Nix at quarterback. Justin Fields more likely at quarterback. Pickens is good for 5+ targets. And then after that, we don't know. But getting the workload's half the battle for these players. Justin Fields, if he's in, he's a sneaky option due to his rushing ability. I look for him to run the ball. If he's out there getting double-digit carries, and if he gets double-digit carries, there's good odds, or at least 50-50 odds that he's a QB1 for the week. Run backs, Devon Bailey, because the Steelers are bad against the slot. We saw them give up a lot of yards to the slot last week to Ray McLeod. Look for Bailey, get some opportunities. Not a must start, but a sneaky start. Jaleel McLaughlin, same thing. Same thing. Look for him to get used when they got to push the pace. And then Bears versus Texans, 45.5 over under. You're starting your Texans. Nico, Tank, Diggs. When you're looking at those wide receivers, it's the carousel effect. When you got 3 good wide receivers, one's going to hit, one's going to be okay to good, and then one is going to be, it might be a little flaky. Sometimes 2 hits. Sometimes that happens. But again, the odds are you're going to get that carousel effect, and you're not going to pick which one. You're looking at Mixon to get a ton of targets. You're looking at DJ Moore as a good run back option because he's going to get the work. That's half the battle. Caleb Williams was a little dicey last week. He's still rookie. But think about this. We're in the game 2. DJ Moore's there. We got the other wide receivers banged up. Should be getting targets, but might get locked down as well. Falcons versus Eagles, bird on bird action, 47 over under. Is Kirk Cousins cooked? Is he toast after that injury? Because that is the question here. And if that is true, Bijan, Drake, Kyle Pitts, they're reduced down a bit. Saquon Barkley getting volume. A.J. Brown, Devonta Smith, you're always going to start him. This is a good matchup for them. Bijan Robinson, though, is going to get workload and opportunity. He did last week, but that did not account for a lot of fantasy points. But the Eagles gave up yards to the Packers running backs. Drake London was slow last week. He only has 2 wide receiver 1 weeks on his name for his career. Paying attention to him, but the workload's there. Same with Kyle Pitts. But if Cousins is cooked, they are cooked. And the Falcons' defense is a little rough, so it could slow down the Eagles a little bit. But if Cousins is cooked, it may not matter because the Eagles got weapons. But those are the matchups we're looking at this week. We're looking at 15 games, 15 must-starts, a lot of players. Let me know who you're starting in the comments below. Don't forget to drop your questions. Make sure to hit that subscribe button on the way out. Thanks for watching. Catch you on the next video.